Welcome back to another Alvaro video. In today's video, we're going to be watching a game by everyone's favorite TFT influencer, K3 Soju. Now, not only is the title of this video not clickbait, yes, K3 Soju has more than 800 games played. I believe he's about at like 820 right now. But this game that I'm going to be analyzing is the 800th game exactly. And let me tell you, this game could not have been more perfect of a game to choose for an analyzing. So first off, we have to acknowledge the Little Legend skin. Soju's rocking the Bunana Bun Bun skin, one of the new skins that they just released. And he said it was one of the best skins for winning Carousel. Maybe a bit of a secret tech? Just kidding, don't believe anyone that says that. All the Little Legend skins have the same odds for winning Carousel. But yeah, all jokes aside, let's get into the game. He started Bow. Gets this Poppy 2, holding GP pair. He's trying to figure out what to do, doesn't know yet, there's no clear direction. Buys out the shop, and now we get to see the first augment. So uplink, item grab bag, and electro charge. Uplink is not that good unless you have a bunch of extra items through either like another augment or through a trait like Gadgettine or something like that. Pretty underpowered of an augment, I would say, because it used to be pretty strong in the past, so they nerfed it to like a point where it's really not that takeable. And then Electro Charge is only strong when you have MR Shred, or if that's like the only option you can take. You're always going to get value from Electro Charge, but it's never like that good, like I said, unless you have some form of MR Shred, so you can get an increased amount of damage through shredding the enemy's magic resist, because the Electro Charge does magic damage. So he just goes ahead and he takes item grab bag. Item grab bag is an extremely solid augment. There's so many items that, you know, can just make you extremely powerful right off the bat. Getting an extra item on everyone on the lobby sometimes can make it so that you can push for a 5 streak even when your board is not that strong, which is exactly what he's doing right here. He got Zeke's from item grab bag, and even though Zeke's is not an item that you see a lot of people building now, because of how bad it is to clump in the late game, Zeke's is still a really strong item in the early game, because giving 3 units in attack speed, which is literally 75% of your board when you're level 4, means you're going to have like a lot better chances of winning fights. So he wins the first 2 rounds with the power spike of getting that Zeke's and just having like a decent board overall. And he chooses to level to 5 to hit underground and to also continue his streak. But because he couldn't fit underground in unless he leveled to 5. It didn't really make sense with how his board was working. And he wants to be able to complete this final item because he wants to push streak. He really wants to get this 5 streak. Now, this play is probably one of the craziest plays that he does. And definitely shows off his prowess of the current set. So he leveled to put an underground in the previous turn, but then he gets a shop with a Soraka in it, and since he has the Sona that's going to give him the heart rate, and since he has a static shiv that's going to make it so that his MR damage does a lot more, his AP damage does a lot more damage, he chooses to take underground out so that he can itemize this Soraka. And now he has a lot better chance of 5 streaking. And since he has a good chance of 5 streaking, he wants to play the strongest board possible. And he actually chooses to play this Wukong instead of a Vi. And it's not because he thinks the Wukong is a stronger unit than the Vi. It's because he has 2 defender in. And even though putting in Wukong doesn't give him like 4 defender or anything, he still has 2 defender, 3 out of 4 defenders. But the Wukong still gets the extra armor from having defender. So Wukong with 60 armor versus a Vi with 30 armor, Wukong, he just thinks that Wukong is better. So he's able to pivot his board out of this like underground thing that he was going to try and do into this like kind of AP build. And then he just plays strongest board to try and 5 streak, and he's able to actually get a 5 streak. He naturals Rel 2, which is definitely like a massive spike, but it's still pretty unclear with exactly how he wants to take this game. So to talk about why Zeke's is not the best item that you can get, is because in the late game, there's units like Urgot, there's units like Fiddlesticks, even Mech Set Frontline, when you have all of your units clumped, the set can, he's going to target the entirety of your team. Asol targets clumps, Aaliyah targets clumps, Miss Fortune targets clumps. Towards the end of the game, you really do not want your backline clumped up, or there's a lot of games that you're just going to lose for free. He sees 3 augments, he doesn't like what he sees, he re-rolls them, and he goes ahead and chooses Jeweled Lotus. So he could have went for Celestial Blessing there, but I guess he prioritizes the damage more. I think he thinks that his frontline is strong enough that he's not going to get that much value from Celestial Blessing, because Celestial Blessing works a lot better with units that, are in the fray taking damage so they can heal them back up. But with how strong his frontline is with 4 defenders, he just wants to increase the power of his backline so that he can get through, or so that he's actually using the value from his augment, whereas Celestial Blessing he wouldn't get as much value from. Now I want you to look at his current board state and his current items and think about what you might play in this spot. Are you thinking maybe I'll just continue playing Soraka? Well, probably not, because he doesn't have blue buff. He doesn't have a tier. He doesn't have any way of making blue buff, and you kind of need to have blue buff if you want to carry Soraka. Maybe you're thinking Taliyah. He has a Rel 2. Rel is a Star Guardian. He could really easily make the pivot to Taliyah. But the thing is that he doesn't really have Annie, so Annie is like the linchpin in that type of comp. You really need that Annie to give you the 4th spell slinger, and you don't want to have to go back and find an Annie too. So maybe you're thinking about probably the easiest answer, Miss Fortune. Miss Fortune, you can have any frontline in the game, and you can just slot her into any comp. She's easily one of the strongest AP carries right now. Or maybe you're thinking of something entirely different. Either way, let's keep watching Soju and see exactly what he does. So you can see he just lost his streak there, and that means it's time to econ up, right? Nope. He levels up, and he puts another unit on his board. Now, there's 2 reasons why he did that. The admin was really strong for his current board. The admin was heals your team 150 HP every 5 seconds. And if you see his econ right now, he's making 21 and he's going to get 22 gold after winning this round. So with that amount of gold, that means that he can make 30 next turn and make 40 the following turn. So even though he leveled right after he lost to try and continue winning, it doesn't really matter because he didn't ruin his entire economy, so it was okay. You have to remember that your health is econ sometimes, even in high roll spots like this where he's still extremely healthy and not pressured at all. He knows that saving the small amount of HP is not worth saving, the 3 or so extra gold that he would get for the intervals that probably compounds into 5 or 6 gold. He just wants to have the strongest board at the current point in time of the game, and after leveling to 7, you have a lot higher chances of high rolling because you can natural shops with better units. And that's kind of exactly what happened, because he was able to get this MF and this Zac, and then he can continue further streaking with a strong board, and you can see he's already back to 50 gold. He's level 7, he's going to go ahead and roll Slight here because he wants to find direction. Even though he has Miss Fortune, he just got dropped Bow, Chain, Glove off of Carousel. Off of Minion Round. And he's trying to figure out exactly how he wants to play this game, because even though he was leaning towards AP, the items that he was given are definitely not. We rolled Slight to try and find some more direction, and we can see his final augment here. Triumphant Return, Frozen Tundra, and Into the Night. So Triumphant Return is probably one of the easiest ones that he could just click because Riven is on his board, and it's a pretty solid augment to play. Into the Night, you only really want to play that augment when you're playing around duelists, or if it's the only thing that you can play in maybe a Kai'Sa comp. But the way that his comp is working out right now, there's no way he wants to play Into the Night. And he just goes ahead and chooses Frozen Tundra. If you don't know what Frozen Tundra does, at the beginning 8 seconds of the fight, the whole enemy team's attack speed gets reduced. I don't know exactly by how much. I think it's like 30%. If you want to know, you can like go back and look at it. But he chooses to take this one over Riven because even though Riven is on his current board, you can see, look, exactly, like right here. He was able to find a Jax, and he wants to play around Mech Set because of the items that he was given. He has Bramble and half of Declaw, and he knew that there's a good chance that Riven wasn't going to be on one of his like boards later on in the game. And it's a lot easier, like he gets more support out of the Vel'Koz augment that he chose, so he goes ahead and takes that one. So now that he's guaranteed playing around Mech Set frontline, he wants to go ahead and finish off the second set item. So he goes ahead and grabs Cloak here. He still does not have clear direction. He has clear direction for his front line, but he really needs to figure out exactly what his back line is going to look like. So he goes level 8 on 4-5. And he's looking to buy all the strong units and also find direction. So that was pretty quick what happened there. But he was able to just barely squeeze out grabbing this Samira 2. And now that he has this Samira 2, he has like solid direction for how he wants to take this game. He goes ahead and makes Last Whisper, and he's basically locked into playing AD at this point in time. He also finds 2 Fiddlesticks along the way, and that's like a pretty insane high roll considering he also hit set 2. Goes ahead and slams the rest of his items because he wasn't able to get them on in the previous round because he needed to make some really quick decisions. And he's now one of the strongest in the lobby. So, if you thought 1 Fiddlesticks was good, how about 2 Fiddlesticks? These Fiddlesticks are insane with the Mech Set frontline because they gain AP each time one of your friendly units dies. Your friendly units die. So at the very start of the fight, when he's sacrificing 2 of these mechs, both of these Fiddlesticks are gaining instant 80 AP. He wants to make a final item for either Set or Samira. With Tyr, you could go Redemption and for Set, but he wasn't able to get Redemption, so he just goes for the only item that he can put on Samira in that spot, and he goes for Hand of Justice. So I know it's kind of hard to tell, but these Fiddlesticks are putting in some mad work. He was also talking about how not only is Fiddlesticks extremely powerful with Set because of the Corrupted interaction where they gain AP, it's also really strong with Set because what happens is that they gain the AP and then they get aggroed, the Fiddlesticks get attacked. He has them on the edge, how you can see exactly how he's positioning these Fiddlesticks. The Fiddlesticks get attacked, then they get invulnerability, cast, and then while they cast, they drop aggro. So when the Fiddlesticks ult and then they jump into the backline and like do their cast, the units that were previously targeting them are not targeting them anymore because they drop aggro with their cast. And then those units now target Set. And since Set is one of the tankiest units in the game, it's really hard for like extremely powerful backline units to even get through Set. So then the Fiddlesticks just get to run wild, kill everything, and then they even have a chance of casting a second time because they're not getting targeted until a unit kills the Set. The only unit that has a good time against Fiddlesticks is Miss Fortune, because since Miss Fortune's ult doesn't always cast on whoever she's targeting, the Fiddlesticks will run into the crossfire and then the Fiddlesticks will die out. But every other backline unit, like Samira, or he was just playing against Kai'Sa and Vayne comps, they have to kill the unit that they're targeting first before they can target like future or like other units on the board. You can see he finishes off his Set itemization. He goes for Redemption here. He now has basically best in slot Set. Since they nerfed Set's damage, he's not, you weren't really going for like damage Set anyways. You still wanted like mech Set, like tank Set. But after they nerfed his damage, now there's like definitely no reason to go for any sort of like carry set. But he's still just as tanky as he was in like the previous patch. They nerfed his tankiness, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they nerfed his damage, but they did not nerf his tankiness. So he's fighting another player with a mech set frontline, and you can kind of see about what I was talking about earlier with the Zeeks. He's trying to greed the Zeeks on his Samira, but the opponent had an ASOL, and sometimes, you know, the ASOL just gets lucky and hits 3 meteors on the clump in your backline, and then he just one-taps your carry. That can happen with a lot of different units. So building Zeeks sometimes is like, you know, you're using 2 items to make an item that's supposed to make your team stronger, but sometimes you're just screwing yourself over and you're actually like making it harder for you to win fights. So you can see he's level 9 now, and that was because his roll down on 4-5 was strong enough for him to be stable for basically the entirety of the rest of stage 4 and the entirety of stage 5. So he didn't really have to roll any deeper. He went level 9, and now he's just trying to look to cap out his board. And so I want you to look at his board now, and remember when I told you to look at his board previously, and tell me if you ever like could have guessed that this is what his final board looks like. This is exactly what I mean when, you know, he has so much knowledge after playing 800 games, and he's definitely showing it with this one. He had a line that a lot of players probably would have completely focused in on playing AP, and then now he's ending the game by playing a sure shot Samira build. He was just playing his strongest board to be able to get to level 8 with a lot of gold, and then he rolled his entire like gold down and chose to make his strongest board later on in the game. And then he gets this positioning correctly. He makes sure that the Miss Fortune has to kill his set in order to get to his backline by positioning his backline on the opposite side of Miss Fortune. And, you know, Miss Fortune is just not going to get through the set. In order for his opponent to win that round, he needs to make sure Miss Fortune is same side as his backline so the Miss Fortune can actually target his backline. But yeah, I thought that was an extremely impressive game. Happy 800 games. Soju has by far one of, like, I think he has the most games played out of anybody in the set. And I think he, like, demonstrated his knowledge pretty well in this game. If you like the video, like it, and I'll see you in the next one.